The twin suns of Vargos 9 burned hot above the dusty marketplace. Traders shouted, creatures argued, and ships flew low in the orange sky. The air smelled of rust, sweat, and something rotten. This was not a place for kindness. It was a place to sell and buy, no matter the price. In the center of the market, a rusty metal stage stood. A large alien trader, thick arms, purple skin, sharp teeth, pulled a weak figure forward with a chain. "This one?" he yelled, laughing. "She's broken. No use for work. No use for pleasure." He raised her thin arm like a prize. The crowd laughed. "She's not even worth a good meal." The trader roared, "I'll take just one bottle of liquor." "One bottle, and she's yours." The figure didn't move. Her skin was pale, almost silver. Her eyes, once bright, now looked dead. She wore torn cloth, and scars marked her arms and neck. She was young, maybe 20 human years, but her body was tired, like she had lived 100 lifetimes. No one stepped forward. No one cared. Except one. A man stood at the back of the crowd. Human, long coat, short beard, cold eyes. His name was Captain Reed, a cargo pilot, mostly alone, never smiled. He didn't come here for slaves. He didn't even like the idea. But something in him told him to stop. He watched her closely. Not the scars, not the chains, but her eyes. For just 1 second, she had looked up. And in that second, he saw something old, something strong, something still alive. "I'll take her," Reed said. The crowd turned. Some laughed, some stared. The trader squinted. "You?" the alien asked. "You want this broken trash?" Reed walked forward. He pulled out a small silver bottle, old Vargos rum, strong and rare. The trader's eyes lit up. He grabbed the bottle, dropped the chain, and waved Red away. "She's yours, human." "Good luck. She might bite," he joked. Reed said nothing. He bent down and looked at the girl. She didn't speak. She didn't move, but her eyes watched him, not with fear. With confusion. He touched the chain gently. "You're free now." She didn't understand. The word free meant nothing. She had been sold many times. Freedom was a lie. "Come on," Reed said. He didn't drag her. He just walked, slowly, and after a few seconds, she followed, back at his ship. The Stardust Crow. Reed gave her a small room, clean, warm, a soft blanket. Real food, water, not much, but more than she had in years. Still, she didn't speak. She sat in the corner of the room and stared at the floor. Her hands trembled. Her body was broken, but her mind was still waking up. Reed watched from the doorway. "You're safe here," he said quietly. No answer. "What's your name?" Silence. He sighed. "I guess I'll give you one. How about ... Dava?" Her eyes moved just a little. Nova, a star's last breath. Beautiful, bright, and deadly. She didn't say yes, but she didn't say no. Days passed. Reed didn't ask questions. He just let her heal. Slowly she began to eat. She slept. She even walked around the ship a little. But she still didn't speak. One night, as the ship floated near an empty moon, Nova stood by the window. She looked at the stars. Reed came in with 2 cups of tea. "You ever seen Earth?" he asked. She didn't answer. He smiled, more to himself. "Didn't think so. It's not much anymore. Just stories and oceans." She finally spoke, one soft word. "Why?" Reed turned. "Why what?" "Why? Did you take me?" He looked at her carefully. "You think I bought you?" She didn't reply. The chain on her wrist still hung there, even though it was unlocked. He pointed at her eyes. "I saw something. In there, fire. You're not broken, just lost." She blinked. A small tear rolled down her cheek. "The first in years. I don't remember," she whispered. "That's okay," Reed said. "You don't have to remember everything. Just remember who you want to be now." That night, Nova dreamed for the first time, not of chains. Not of pain, but of stars. And something else. Power. A hidden strength. A memory waiting to return. And far away, in a dark lab under a cold moon. Someone else felt it. A screen blinked. Red. Subject 47. Signal detected. "She's alive," a voice said. "Find her." Asterisk. Nova woke to silence. No chains, no shouting. No cold floor. She was wrapped in a soft blanket. A soft hum from the ship's engine filled the air. It felt strange, too quiet. Too safe. She sat up slowly. Her body still hurt. Her scars still burned, but something was different. Something inside her had changed. She wasn't in the market anymore. She wasn't anyone's slave now, or was she? Her eyes moved to the door. It opened with a soft hiss. Captain Reed stood there, holding a small tray of food, real food. A sandwich, a boiled egg, a glass of clean water. Nothing fancy, but to her, it looked like a royal meal. He placed the tray on a small table and said nothing. Then he turned to leave. Wait, she said. Reed stopped. That was the second time she had spoken. First time he saw a flicker of life in her voice. Yes? He asked. Nova looked down. Why are you doing this? Reed turned to face her. Because I don't believe in chains. She narrowed her eyes. You gave that traitor a bottle? You paid? I didn't pay for you, Reed said. I paid to get you away from him. Nova didn't understand. People like her were bought and sold every day. No one ever helped without wanting something. No one gives without a reason, she said. Reed gave a dry smile. Maybe you're right. Maybe I just got tired of watching people suffer. He walked out and the door hissed closed again. Later, Nova wandered through the ship. It was old but clean, worn walls. Scratched metal, but it felt calm. She entered the control room. Reed sat in the pilot's chair, feet up, reading something on a small screen. A soft jazz tune played from the speakers. Human music. Earth music. He noticed her, but didn't move. Couldn't sleep? No, same, he said. Setting the screen aside, Nova looked at the stars through the window. Endless, cold, beautiful. Where are we going? She asked. Reed shrugged. Nowhere special, just away. Away from what? He looked at her with sharp eyes. From people who think they own others. Nova stayed quiet. Her fingers ran along the smooth edge of the ship's control panel. I don't remember much, she said finally. Flashes, pain, a cell, then escape, then years of being sold. Reed listened. I'm not normal, she added. I can feel it. He nodded slowly. I know. She turned to him, surprised. You know? I saw it in the market. You looked broken, but your eyes were still sharp. That's not normal for someone who's truly lost. Nova stepped closer. So you did want something. Reed stood. I wanted you to live, that's all. You decide the rest. They spent the next day working on small repairs. Reed showed her the tools, how to fix wires, how to read the ship's codes. She was quick, faster than he expected. Her hands remembered things her mind didn't. She fixed a panel in half the time. How did you learn that? Reed asked it. Nova paused. I don't know, it just made sense. He looked at her with quiet curiosity. That night, Nova walked the empty hallways alone. Her thoughts were louder than ever. Why was he helping her? Was he playing a long game? Or was he really just trying to help? She stopped by a mirror. Looked at her face, dirty, thin, but her eyes. There it was again, fire. Like something inside her was waking up. A part she had long forgotten. She lifted her sleeve. A thin metal line ran across her arm. She had always thought it was a scar, but now it glowed faint blue. What is this? She whispered. Suddenly, pain shot through her head. A flash, wires, needles, commands, a voice yelling, "Activate Subject 47." She gasped and fell to the floor. In another corner of the galaxy. A dark room lit up. An alien general stared at a blinking screen. She's active again, one soldier said. After all this time, the general growled. She survived. A second screen showed a blurred image, a human ship. Find her, the general ordered, before she remembers everything. Back on the Stardust Crow, Nova lay in bed, breathing fast. Sweat ran down her face, her heart raced. Something was inside her. Something powerful. She ran to the control room. Reed. He turned, alert. What's wrong? I remembered something. A code, a number. Subject 47. Does that mean anything to you? Reed froze. He sat her down. Yes. That's a military project. Long shut down, hidden, dangerous. Her hands shook. I think I was part of it. Reed stared at her, stunned. "You're not just a slave," he said. "You're a weapon." Nova looked down at her glowing arm. "No," she whispered. "I'm not a weapon anymore." Reed looked out at the stars. Trouble was coming, but so was the truth. The ship moved quietly through deep space surrounded by stars. There was no war here, no chains, no screaming, just silence. And questions. Nova stood in the training bay, staring at her hand. A soft blue light pulsed beneath her skin. It wasn't a scar. It wasn't a tattoo. It was something living. Captain Reed leaned on the wall, watching her carefully. He had seen many strange things in the galaxy. But Nova, she was different. "You said Subject 47, he reminded her. "That name is dangerous." "I didn't choose it," Nova replied. She turned to face him. "I think they made me, not born." Built. Reed didn't speak for a moment. He walked over and handed her a small screen. It showed a report, old and half-broken. Project Spark, Subject 47 status, terminated type, hybrid combat unit. "Memory wiped. They use people," Reed said. "Mostly alien children, some human. You weren't born to fight. They made you forget who you were, then trained you to be something else." Nova's hands tightened. Her chest felt heavy. "I don't remember that. I only remember cages." Whispers, pain. "Maybe that's all they wanted you to remember," Reed said. Later, Nova walked alone in the engine room. She placed her hand on the wall. It was warm. She could feel the ship's energy running like blood. She closed her eyes. Suddenly, a flash. She saw herself in armor, holding a glowing weapon. Her body moved like a machine, fast, perfect. Enemies fell all around her. Voices yelled in her ear, "Keep going, no fear." Another flash. She was running, hiding. Her arms were burned. She had something in her hands. A chip, a secret. Then blackness. She opened her eyes, gasping. Her legs shook. Her breath was fast. That wasn't just a dream. It was real. She had fought, she had run, and maybe she had betrayed them. Reed found her sitting near the storage bay, staring at her reflection in a metal panel. "Flashbacks again?" he asked. She nodded. "I saw a battle. I was fighting like I wasn't human. Like I was a machine." Reed sat down beside her. "You moved fast when we were fixing the ship. Too fast, like your brain was ahead of your body." "I think they put something in me," she said. "Something I can't see." "Then we'll find it," he said calmly. "And we'll take it out." Nova looked at him. "Why are you still helping me?" Reed didn't answer right away. "When I was a kid," he began, "my sister was taken by slavers. We never found her. I couldn't save her. But maybe I can save you." Nova said nothing, but she didn't look away this time. The next day, they landed on a quiet moon, Juno 5. It had no cities, just an old tech station buried in rock. Reed knew someone there. A fixer, half robot, half genius. His name was Patch. "Long time, Reed," Patch said, his voice metallic and rough. "You bring me junk again?" "Not this time," Reed replied. "We need a scan." Patch raised an eye plate and looked at Nova. "She doesn't look like trouble." "She is," Reed said, "but not by choice." Patch guided Nova into a room. Machines lit up. Wires touched her skin. Blue lines flashed across the screen. Patterns, energy. Patch stepped back. "Shocked. She's full tech," he whispered. "Advanced. Not from any planet I know." He pointed to her spine on the screen. "See that? A power core, hidden, looks dead, but it's not. It's sleeping." Nova stared at the image of her own body. "They put something inside me," she said. Patch nodded. "They made you part weapon." "But they failed to control your mind," Reed frowned. "Can we remove it?" "No," Patch replied. "It's part of her now. Take it out, she dies." Nova looked at the floor. For a moment she didn't breathe. That night on the ship, Nova sat alone in her room. She opened a small panel in her arm. Inside, tiny blue lights blinked. She had opened it without thinking, like she'd done it before. There was a code. Printed inside, VXO47 Hope Hope. Was that her real name? Or was it a lie? She stared at the stars again. She felt like a ghost in her own skin, not sure if she was human, machine, or something in between. Then she stood up. She walked to Reed's room and knocked. I want to learn, she said. Reed raised an eyebrow. Learn what? Everything. To fight, to fly, to be me. He smiled for the first time in days. Then let's start tomorrow. But far away, beyond the outer rings, a warship entered the system. The alien general from before stood at the window, eyes glowing red. She's learning, he said. She's remembering. He turned to his officers. Send the hunters, now. Asterisk, the training room inside the Stardust Crow was small, but quiet. Just the sound of feet hitting the metal floor. Breath in. Breath out. Nova stood in the center, eyes focused. Sweat on her brow. Her hands moved fast. Strikes, blocks, turns. Captain Reed watched, arms crossed. You're getting faster, he said. Nova didn't reply. She just nodded. He stepped forward and threw a light punch. She dodged. Another punch. She blocked and twisted his arm behind his back before he could blink. Oh, okay. You win, Reed said, smiling. She let go and stepped back. I didn't mean to grab that hard. She said, You didn't, I'm just old. Reed sighed, rubbing his shoulder. Where'd you learn that move? Nova looked down. I don't know. My body just did it. Reed's smile faded. He had seen soldiers train for years and still move slower than her. But Nova, she had only been practicing for a few days. It was like her body remembered things her mind didn't. Single quotes T. Later that night, Nova sat in the med bay, looking at the panel in her arm again. The same one she had opened on Juno 5. The small lights inside were brighter. Now, she tapped one with a fingertip. Suddenly, the ship lights flickered. A soft hum filled the air. Her skin lit up faint blue. Nova? Reed's voice came through the speaker. You okay? She shut the panel and stood. I'm fine, she said, even though she wasn't sure. Her hand still glowed. In the command deck, Reed checked the sensors. You lit up the whole power grid, he said as she walked in. I didn't mean to. He nodded. It's not your fault. Nova looked out the window, eyes distant. Maybe it is, she said quietly. Maybe I'm waking up into something I don't want to be. You're not a machine, Reed said. She glanced at him. You sure about that? Reed took a breath. You saved that boy on Vargos 9. You didn't have to. No one told you to. You just did it. That's not a weapon. That's choice. She turned away. I want to believe you. Far away, inside a hunter ship cloaked in black, 3 alien bounty hunters gathered. They watched a small hologram of Nova. That's her, the leader said. His voice was dry, snake-like. Subject 47, another one hissed. She still breathes. That is a failure. Not for long. They set coordinates. The ship moved, quiet as a shadow, toward the Stardust Crow. The next morning, Nova and Reed landed on a quiet mining planet to get supplies and answers. Reed led her to an old war library. Most of it was broken, dusty, forgotten. But one terminal still worked. Try searching Project Spark, Reed said. Nova typed with steady hands. The machine beeped. Access granted. Level red FIL. Nova's eyes widened. A video appeared. She saw a lab. Rows of children, some human, some not. Tubes in their arms. Soldiers watching. Doctors speaking in cold voices. Test 47 shows extreme speed and response. Memory will be wiped again. Subject shows resistance. Nova gasped. She saw herself, younger, stronger, angrier. She was fighting 10 trainers at once, winning, then a different file loaded. Escape record. Subject 47. The video was dark and blurry. Nova was running, carrying something, a chip. Guards chased her. She fought like lightning, then a blast. She fell into a river of stars. The file ended. Nova stood still, hands shaking. I wasn't just made, she whispered. I escaped. Reed stared at the screen. You were there. Secret, he said. But you broke free. Nova stepped back, breathing heavy. But if I still have that chip, that data ... they'll come for me. Reed nodded. They already are. That night, back on the ship, alarms blared. Unknown ship approaching. Fast! Reed shouted. Nova ran to the window. A dark shape hovered above them. Then, crash, the ship shook. Lights went red. 3 hunters boarded, tall, armored, eyes like ice. Nova stood in front of Reed. Get behind me. You sure? He asked. No, she said, but I'm done running. The lead hunter charged. Nova moved, faster than light. A twist, a kick, a slam. The hunter crashed into a wall. Another fired a blaster. She raised her arm. The panel lit up. The blast hit her skin and vanished. Reed stared. What the hell? I think I have a shield, she said, surprised. She fought with perfect control. Not wild, not angry, focused. Within minutes, the three hunters lay broken on the floor. Reed looked around, stunned. You didn't even kill them. Nova looked at her hands. I didn't want to, she said. Later, as they drifted quietly through space again. Nova sat alone. She was no longer unsure. She was made, she was trained, but now she was choosing her own path. Reed entered the room. So, you're a hidden weapon, he said, smiling. Nova smiled back. No, I was, she said. Now, I'm becoming something else. He raised an eyebrow. What? She looked out at the stars, free. Space was quiet again, but Nova knew silence could lie. She sat near the main window of the Stardust Crow, watching stars drift by. A part of her wished they'd keep drifting forever. No stops, no signals, no more hunters, but wishes didn't stop warships. Reed entered the room with a datapad in his hand, his face serious. We picked up something, he said. A coded signal. Nova didn't move. Is it them? Reed nodded. They know exactly where we are. Nova stood slowly. Then they're not sending hunters this time. No, Reed said. They're sending an army. A few hours later, they reached a dead moon to hide. Black rocks. No people, just shadows. Reed shut down most systems to go dark. We'll stay cold and off the grid for a bit. Nova stared at the dark sky above. They won't stop. Reed turned to her. They want you back. They won't take me alive. Reed nodded once. I know. In the enemy warship far across the system, the alien general watched a massive screen. Images of Nova, training, escaping, fighting, played again and again. She has remembered too much, the general said. But she has not yet unlocked everything. Another officer spoke. Shall we use the override command? The general growled. She is no longer under control, but the trigger code may still work, loaded into the beacon. The officer paused. And if it fails? The general's red eyes narrowed. Then burn the planet she hides on. Nova stood in the ship's med bay, watching herself in the reflection again. The panel in her arm no longer scared her. She had opened it every night now, studying it, learning it. It wasn't just a machine. It was a part of her, and it was waking up. She turned to Reed. I need to know how far this goes. I need to go deeper. Reed hesitated. You mean connect fully? She nodded. I think there's more inside me. Memories, programs, maybe even weapons. You sure it won't destroy you? No, she said. But I'm not afraid anymore. With Reed's help, Nova linked her neural signal to the ship's system. A risk. If the code inside her was still active, it could shut down. Her body, or worse, wires connected to her arms, neck, spine. Her heartbeat echoed on screen. Then she closed her eyes, and fell in her mind. It was all black, then blue light. Then sound, 1,000 voices at once, commands, screams, numbers, fights. She saw herself in different times. As a child, as a fighter, as a weapon. Her hands stained with war. Then one voice broke through the noise. You were not made to feel, you were made to follow. Nova turned. A shadow stood before her. It wore her face, but empty, cold. I'm not you anymore, Nova said. You're nothing without me, the shadow replied. You're just a failed experiment? Nova stepped forward, her eyes glowing blue. No, I'm more, because I choose now. She reached inside the code, pulled the memories. The truth, she didn't just escape. She destroyed the lab. She wasn't weak. She was dangerous. To them. Her eyes snapped open. Back on the ship, Reed pulled the wires out. Nova stood, breathing hard. But alive. And fully awake. A sudden alert flashed. Unknown signal nearby, Reed said. But it's not a ship, it's a beacon. Nova's face went cold. They're testing me. The signal repeated the same sound. Over and over, then words. Unit 47, return or be erased. Nova stood. They're trying to trigger the control. Code. Can they still do it? I don't know, she said. But I'm done hiding. They flew to the beacon. It floated like a ghost in space. Pulsing red. Nova suited up. Stepped into the airlock. You sure about this? Reed asked. She smiled softly. Not at all. Then she launched into the black alone, floating toward the beacon. Nova could feel the signal pushing against her mind. A cold voice whispered, "You belong to us." She gritted her teeth. Not anymore. The beacon lit up, firing a pulse straight at her. Her body froze mid-flight. Alarms blared inside her helmet. Code raced through her nerves, her limbs locked. Eyes wide. Then darkness. Inside her mind. The shadow returned. You were never free. But Nova stood tall. I was never yours. She reached deep into the code. Past the control. Past the pain. To the spark. Her own spark. It flared, white-hot, with a scream. She broke the chains. Outside, the beacon exploded in a flash of light. Reed saw her body falling. Nova! He launched out, caught her, and pulled her back to the ship. In the med bay, she coughed hard, then gasped. I'm still me, she whispered. Reed grinned. Damn right you are. Later, as they floated in silence, Nova looked at the stars. They'll come again, Reed nodded. Let them. Nova's hand glowed, soft and steady. They want me back, she said. But I'm not going back. No, Reed replied. She smiled. I'm going forward. Asterisk, the stars didn't blink. The sky didn't shake. But war had already started. Nova sat on the edge of her bunk, wrapping bandages around her forearm. The skin beneath was healing, both flesh and metal. She moved slower today. Not from pain, but from thought. I'd beat their code, she whispered. Reed leaned against the doorway, arms crossed. And you fried their beacon doing it, Nova gave a small smile. But they'll send more. They already have, Reed sighed, tossing her a data chip. This came through comms. An open threat. Nova plugged it into the wall. A hologram flickered to life, red-skinned general, sharp armor, eyes glowing like dying suns. To the human who hides our creation. You have 1 cycle to surrender her. After that, we erase you both. The message ended. Nova didn't blink. They don't want me controlled anymore. They want me gone. Reed stepped forward. Then it's time to hit back. She raised an eyebrow. You're ready for war? He gave a small smirk. I was born in it. They didn't have a fleet. They didn't have allies. But they had something else. A plan. First. They went to the black market world of Karuan, deep in the trade rings. A place full of thieves, hackers, and broken laws. Nova wore a hood. Reed walked ahead, and both kept blasters close. They met with Kodo, an old friend of Reed and a smuggler with information for sale. She's worth a lot now, Kodo said, eyeing Nova. Even more than before. Reed didn't flinch. That's not what I'm here for, Kodo leaned back. Then you want data. Risky data. The kind that's been erased from all public records. I want to know where they keep the others, Nova said. Kodo frowned. You're not the only one? She shook her head. There were more. Maybe they're still alive. Maybe they're still locked. Kodo sighed. One place fits a lab moon called Silex 91, hidden, guarded, but not impossible. Nova nodded. Then that's our target. The Stardust Crow flew through dead space. The closer they got to Silex 91, the colder the air inside felt. Nova stood near the weapons rack, checking each blaster, each blade. Reed watched her from the cockpit. You nervous? He asked. No, she said. I'm angry. They arrived at the edge of the moon's atmosphere. It wasn't like a planet. It was metal, fake. A giant lab inside a rock. Lights blinked across its surface. Security drones floated like insects. Reed hovered in the shadow of a dead satellite. No way in without a fight. Nova stared ahead. Then we give them one. She jumped from the ship in stealth armor, invisible to sensors for 30 seconds. She landed on the outer wall, rolled, and slipped into a vent. Inside, the lab was cold and white. Clean floors, soft lights. Silent machines. Then she heard it. Crying. She followed the sound through a steel door and into a dark room filled with pods. Inside each one, someone like her, aliens, children, some human, some not, wires in their heads. Eyes closed, she pressed her hand to the glass. They never stopped. Back on the ship, alarms flashed. They spotted us, Reed muttered. Guess it's showtime. He launched the ship forward, firing decoys, spinning fast to draw fire. Away from Nova. Come on, come on. Inside, guards rushed the hallway. Nova moved like a ghost. She dropped one, dodged another. Her arm lit up. A blue pulse burst from her palm, knocking two more into the wall. She reached the main terminal. Data streamed across the screen. She inserted her arm's cable into the port. Her eyes glowed. She downloaded everything, locations, experiments, names. Then she triggered the alarm herself. If they were coming, she wanted them all. In the control center, the general stood with fists clenched. She's inside the lab. An officer shouted, "What do we do?" The general growled, "Lock it down and send everyone." The halls filled with soldiers. Nova stood alone at the center. Tall, calm, glowing. "You made me a weapon," she said to herself. "Now feel the edge." She exploded into motion, faster than eyes could follow. She used the walls, the lights, their own machines. She didn't kill. She didn't need to. She beat them with control, with focus. With freedom, Reed blasted a hole in the outer wall. "Nova, you've got 20 seconds. She ran. Behind her. The lab began to self-destruct, auto-triggered by the data she stole. She leapt into the ship just as flames followed. They flew off fast. Nova sat on the floor, breathing hard, arms smoking, but alive. Reed turned to her. "You good?" She nodded. "I saved the data. I know where they're keeping more of us." Reed grinned. "Then what now?" Nova looked at the stars ahead. "We end this." The stars were quiet again, but inside Nova, a storm was rising. She stood in the control room of the Stardust Crow, eyes locked on the glowing map before her. Red dots marked locations where other subjects, people like her, were still trapped. "Used, controlled," Reed watched from the doorway. "You really want to go back there," he said. Not as a question, Nova nodded. "I have to." He stepped closer. "You escaped them. You destroyed their lab. You won." Nova looked at him. "No, I ran from where it started." "But I haven't finished it." Reed paused, then quietly said, "Then let's end it." They set course for Nexus Core, the heart of the enemy, a planet made of metal orbiting a dead star. No civilians, just labs, weapons, machines, and the people who made Nova. She stared at the cold silver surface through the window. "That place built monsters," she whispered. "It's time it saw one who says no." They landed far from the main gate and moved on foot. Reed carried only what he needed. Nova carried everything she was. The closer they got, the more memories returned. The halls. The voices. The pain. But she kept walking until they reached the final door. It opened with a hiss. Waiting inside, the alien general, flanked by two guards. He smiled without warmth. "I see the product returns itself." Nova stepped forward. "I'm not your product. I'm your mistake." He laughed. "You speak like you're more than a tool." Reed raised his blaster, but Nova gently pushed his arm down. "This is mine." The general stepped closer. "You were the best of them. Fast, strong, obedient. But then, something changed. That human you met, the one who calls himself your friend, he broke your design." Nova stared him down. "No," he reminded me. "I had a choice." The general tilted his head. "You were built to follow, not to feel. Your design is not human, it's perfect." She looked at her glowing hand. "Perfect is empty if you don't have a soul." The general's eyes narrowed. "You want to destroy us? Then fight." He raised his hand, a hidden signal. Metal doors slammed open. Dozens of guards ran in. Blasters, armor, drones. Reed backed up. "Nova," but she didn't move. "I'm done running." Her body began to glow, blue and silver light pulsing from under her skin. Her arms, her spine, even her eyes lit up. A soft hum filled the air. Energy rising, and then she moved. The room exploded into action. Nova dashed through the crowd. Like lightning, she didn't just fight, she danced. Using their own weapons against them, bending metal, Dodging bullets mid-air, Reed covered the exit, protecting her flank. But it was clear, this battle was hers alone. The general watched, stunned. This isn't possible. Nova stood in the middle of the room, breathing steady, glowing brighter than any torch. It's not just power, she said. It's will. She raised both hands, and the energy in her core exploded outward in a shockwave, knocking every soldier down, their weapons fried, their minds stunned. Only the general stood now, shaking alone. He stepped back. You can't escape what you are. Nova walked forward. I didn't escape it. I changed it, he growled. You think you're free because of that human? She paused. Then she nodded. Yes, she turned her eyes toward Reed. Because someone saw value in me when no one else did. She looked back at the general. You yelled, just one bottle of liquor for this broken slave. He froze. She stepped even closer. But he didn't see a slave. He saw a life. The general reached for a hidden weapon, but Nova was faster. A single blast from her hand knocked it away. She stood over him. I won't kill you, she said. Why? He hissed. Because I'm not your creation anymore. Outside, the Stardust Crow lifted off. Nova sat beside Reed in the cockpit. You could have ended him, Reed said. I ended what he built. That's enough. Reed looked at her. What? Now? Nova smiled. We wake the others, we free them, he nodded. One by one? No, she said, all at once. She pulled out the data chip she'd taken from the labs. Every location. Every name. I'm going to show them they were never tools. They were people just like me. Reed looked at her with quiet pride. You've come a long way. Nova looked at the stars ahead. I was built in a lab, sold in a market. Chained. Like nothing. But a human gave me something no machine ever could. She turned toward him. Worth.